the dirty hills and hideaway. The dust bowl she hops with a fire behind her eyes, a 45 in the glove box. Valentina gets reminded of the places she has been. For every mile marker, there's a bruise on her bronze skin. A shallow grave in Mojave awaits the man and drag her in, 'cause Valentina's tired of running.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's Longevity John, about to introduce the one and only greatest host, for love of the words, Mr. Bill Levity. But right now, before we even get started, I'd like to say this is also for the love of technology. Trying to figure out how to make this work because it's a new age. It's a new way things are going in. Everyone's doing Zoom. You can go to live Zoom where there's a program out of live door or back door, front door, side door out of out of Vancouver.
Oh.
And they've been doing Zoom for a whole year now. Zoom concerts where you pay to get in, and it's been paying musicians, and it works. Except that again, you're on the Zoom thing, where everyone's out there and they can all see what you're doing, and they're not done as a professional thing. They're done more as a house concert kind of feel.
Could you guys use that format?
No.
Oh, never mind. So what are we here for?
Oh, for the love of words
Oh,
and
goodness.
technology.
And technology. Good. Well, welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're being able to do this. You're not going to be here next month.
Bill will be working.
No, that's April.
Well, this is. Oh, that's true. No, I'll be here next month, just not
Right.
May.
Okay, May.
Yeah.
Wow, you're giving us a long head start.
Well, I thought
Looking
Bob's got a good idea. He's thinking of dramatic, comedic, two-up little snippets.
Yeah,
That's
but you know, a snippet is usually without the context of the full context. Sometimes can be just a snippet.
Well, you give them a little context before you start, but it could work.
It could work.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, Bob.
Good idea, Bob. So we're on a short meeting.
Why? Oh, all right. Bob.
Let's just eat a few minutes up explaining
Bob.
it.
No, that's okay. This is love of technology,
Yeah.
and we're throwing in some words. I'm glad to see Mary's here. Thank you very much, Mary, for showing up. I appreciate that. I hope you stay. It's a long wait. But, you know, Bill, this is an interesting way to have to do it. Thank you for staying the course and making sure that we continue doing this in our, what
12th and a half year.
13th year.
We're in our 13th year. That's right.
Yeah.
He's full of what's it in vinegar today. I tell you, John.
Take care, Billy, and have a
John's
good
in a
show.
good mood. Thank
Take
you, John.
it away for the love of words.
Thank you very much. And welcome, everybody. And yes, thanks to Bob for hosting. Mark's been hosting some Zoom for us. This poem comes from John Sorensen. He's my brother's brother-in-law. And it's called Heather. 60 years on it is, a loss so deeply felt, as if the passage of time had not armored the heart in the least. 60 years on it is, an imagined life of unfettered joy, played out in a gentler elsewhere. 60 years on, the parents are gone, the guardians of the memory will take her with them. She will become a wisp, a murmur, a small cloud, some sapling growing deep in the forest. She was born, she was a child, she was profoundly loved, for this we are allowed to weep. The weeping is not a curse, it defines us, anchored forever to the tragedy. We found the trail of tears led in and out of that gentler elsewhere. As if unspeakable loss could both shatter and heal, and lead us well 60 years on. We will never say goodbye, my sweet, sweet Heather, because we are here, you are here, you are our enduring amulet. Thank you, John Sorensen, for that. And to the sisters, Bonnie, Kathy, Cheryl, Heather, and Janice. Janice is my sister-in-law. My brother's so lucky to have married into a great family. So I just wanted to share that remembrance of Heather. Come on up, Lean Beanie. This is my, I'm not rushing, but I'm trying to be a little concise because we've got a short meeting. This is my unpublished novel, Moving Through Bitterness Dumbfounded Toward Levity. That's a very awkward title. No wonder it's not published. So we're going to do a little, we're back to the roots where we had rhythm. It was first couple of years I was doing, we had other musicians come, and it seemed like it lasted for a while. So I'm gonna start with a portion of this and then launch into our challenge poem for Leanie and I, which is, what am I going to do when I grow up? Okay, you ready, Leanie? Now, here we go. I was searching for friendship and kind, supportive words. Found a platonic female companion. I did not truthfully share my news, though. I tried to protect the one thing that would not be soiled by Loretta's vile tongue, and my dishonesty was mistaken for sexual congress. Or, as the Home Journal informed her, your man's verbal intimacy with another woman is as destructive to your relationship as a sexual affair. I did not know that. Even as spring flowers brought misguided hope to our relationship, plates were thrown and hearts trampled at the jealous picnic. She came on in all her madness, raged and swore that the party's over now, pal. Put out or get out. If only she'd meant sex instead of money. I was cast off in unsure waters, forced to find a new home for myself and my daughter, not knowing if I should beg her to take me back or run madly at top speed while my freedom was in sight. I fell hard, I railed against the human condition, I hungered for her and decried the unfairness of the whole awful torment. I crept into the room at night and scoured the place for evidence of her unfaithfulness. Sometimes the volcano inside me would be still as I sat alone in my cabin and ate my cold supper, mulling over the turbulent years and what it all meant. The smoke eventually cleared, and I learned again to love the quiet and tumult of my own soul. Occasionally I would wake and stand tall in the light of day, cognizant once again of my own dreams and possibilities. I realized that the frustration, the anger, and the howling madness were the gifts of a necessary and painful metamorphosis. Loretta had been a catalyst of an incendiary nature, and I sorely needed to burn down the house of my own self-loathing. To emerge completely whole would be to leave all the bitterness behind, to realize that I still and always would love her, despite my need to be apart from her. The questions posed to us both, and the answers so painfully loosed, were the stepping stones to a new life for both of us. What a joy to find out that love, ever mysterious and in a wider and richer spectrum, had once again stolen over me, and I was left to ponder, what am I gonna be when I grow up, Leanie? I don't know. I dreamed I'd be a fireman, I'd be a movie star, I'd be a rock and roll singer, but that never happened. Didn't really dream I'd be a poet, and I didn't become one, luckily. So I don't know what's gonna happen next. I dreamed I would be a figure skater, a cross-dressing lounge singer, a famous actor in Broadway, a published author. I dreamed I'd be a good dad, and occasionally maybe I was, and I dream every day, and I realize it's like the teacher said to me in grade 3, Billy does quite good work sometimes, though he spends a lot of time staring out the window, dreaming. Yes. Well, I think I cheated a little on the challenge, Leania. I'm sorry. It's not like I had 2 weeks to work on it. My gosh. But thank you for that. And now I'm going to introduce Leanie Beanie, and she's going to give us her, actually can't speak tonight, her version of the challenge. Would you like the sheet thingy?
I'll just flip through.
Okay, will you be able to drum at the same time?
No. That won't be
Because
possible.
I didn't either drum myself.
Okay. I'm going to read it. I just wrote too. So we both did a poem on what I want to, what do I want to be when I grow up? Oh, I haven't done poetry in a while, so this is super fun. What do I want to be when I grow up? Well, I gave it a think, and this is what I came up with. When you're little and looking at being older, you have such a weird idea of the grandeur it holds, you know? I remember my niece looking at me starry-eyed once and saying, Auntie Leanie, I can't wait to grow up so I can pop zits on my face too. Oh boy, kiddo. I can just imagine the things I said like that made adults stop in their tracks and say, oh child, you just wait. When I was that age. I think by the time you realize time is speeding up, you want it to slow down. And and now you're the one echoing, don't grow up too fast. When I grow up, I want to be brave. I find myself sitting scared more often than I'd like to admit. But give a kid an inch and they'll take a mile. Most adults, you give an inch to and they'll just hesitate and worry about the future. I know I leap less these days fear-based. Yeah, when I grow up, I want to be brave. When I grow up, I want to be kind always. I believe kindness is a currency, and I try to spread that as much and as far as possible. When I show my kiddos, we call it love ninjing, buying coffees for the people behind us in line and talking about being kind. When you're a kid, that glow up can last weeks. As an adult, the world can fade that glow up away way more quickly. When I grow up, I want to be kind always. When I grow up, I want to tap into my channel of joy all the time, the kind that makes your world spin daily and your face hurt from smiling regularly. And I want it to be the contagious kind that spills over into everything. Because when you tap into the kid-like joy, I mean, wow, how could you not want it to carry into adulthood? When I grow up, I want to be joy-filled. When I grow up, I want to be vulnerable in a way that lets my inner child know that it's okay. We've worked hard, healed, and we're in a safe space. This is the hardest of the growing up for me. I guess when I grow up, I want to work on vulnerability. When I grow up, I want to be sunrise happy. I really try hard to choose my day. You can usually feel when it's gearing up to be a sad one, and I try and catch the sunrise as much as possible. They really set the tone, and my goodness, even when it's gray, just the sky full of optimism, getting light and bright and beautiful. So choose your day as much as possible and see the beauty and joy in a kid-like way. When I grow up, I want to be kid happy. When I grow up, I want to be my biggest fan. I'm forever the cheerleader in the stories of so many, but sometimes you have to hold your own hand too. Instead of telling someone else, you need to tell yourself that I need to tell myself that even on my worst day, I'm someone else's definition of amazing. When I grow up, I want to have rooted for me on my hardest day. It seems like I've been growing up for a really long time. Sometimes you have to grow up fast, sometimes you have to grow up hard, but it's all a beautiful blessing and a lesson. When I grow up, I want to be a bit of a kid, I think, in the best ways. No, that was it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think you get an A. That's wonderful things to aspire to, and I'll take the F for fakery.
No, that was awesome. It was ad-libbed and on spot.
And Lena, you've been a great inspiration to the dress rehearsal community because you've been coming down quite regularly with your songs, and also you've seen a few of our shows with Eugene, and we've been enjoying your company, and you've inspired us to play more. I've stayed a few times with the playing. We got Martin Jones down here, so your energy is well liked around here, well loved, and good friend to John. You're a longtime friend of the Doctor himself, aren't you?
Yeah, we go way back.
Way back. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
We'll go to our Zoom host. We want to thank Bob. Bob, what do you got for us tonight? Oh, you're muted. You might have muted yourself. Did you, Robert?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
I've got a message that we're going to finish in 8 minutes.
Oh.
So our first session is up here. Yeah, I'll say to Rob, who is new, I thought I had set up a full-length meeting, but in fact, I accidentally set up a 40-minute meeting, so we're getting kicked off. But when it stops, we should all just wait a minute or two and rejoin, just exactly the way you joined the first time. And then we should all be back together again for another 40 minutes.
And that's in how many minutes? 8?
I'll give you, we can do 8 minutes. I could do one poem.
Well, you go ahead, Bob, and then we'll put Gord on when you're rejoining the meeting. That sound good, Gord?
But I was going to do 3.
Oh, whatever you got.
But I can't do 3 before the time. Oh, I'm supposed to not go more than 8 minutes, aren't I? Oh, I'd forgotten that restriction, John. Okay, hang on. I have to get to another screen.
Oh, he
I've never read from another screen before, and I practiced, but now I can't find it. Here we go. Okay, my first and perhaps only poem is from Seamus Heaney, who's a well-known Irish poet, and it's called Death of a Naturalist. Now, I'm a naturalist. I don't like to talk about death of a naturalist. This is actually a death in life. A young boy is absolutely a perfect natural, fell in love with nature as a little kid, and it was wonderful. And then suddenly something went wrong, and it died in him. I really like this poem because of the words, the marvelous poetry of it. So there's a long stanza and then a shorter, sadder stanza. Here we go. Death of a Naturalist by Seamus Heaney. All year the flax dam festered in the heart of the townland. Green and heavy-headed flax had rotted there, weighted down by huge sods. Daily it sweltered in the punishing sun. Bubbles gargled delicately, bluebottles wove a strong gauze of sound around the smell. There were dragonflies, spotted butterflies, but best of all was the warm, thick slobber of frog spawn that grew like clotted water in the shade of the banks. Here, every spring, I would fill jam pots full of the jellied specks to range on window sills at home, on shelves at school, and wait and watch until the fattening dots burst into nimble swimming tadpoles. Miss Wallace would tell us how the daddy frog was called a bullfrog, and how he croaked, and how the mammy frog laid hundreds of little eggs. And this was frog spawn. You could tell the weather by frogs too, for they were yellow in the sun and brown in the rain. Then, one hot day, when fields were rank with cow dung in the grass, the angry frogs invaded the flax dam. I ducked through the hedges to a coarse croaking that I had not heard before. The air was thick with a bass chorus. Right down the dam, gross-bellied frogs were cocked on sods. Their loose necks pulsed like sails. Some hopped. The slap and plop were obscene threats. Some sat poised like mud grenades, their blunt heads farting. I sickened, turned, and ran. The great slime kings were gathered there for vengeance, and I knew that if I dipped my hand, the spawn would clutch it.
What was that last word?
Would clutch it.
The spawn would clutch it.
He was afraid to put his hand down in the dirty water, because he was sure that they would just grab it and I maybe pull him under.
Okay, you've got another short one. Do you want to try and squeeze it in?
Me?
Yeah. Might as well.
I've got a very short one.
Just before Bob starts short, so to understand what we'll need to do is, hi Rob, by the way, I'll welcome you better in a minute. Nice to see your face. You'll have to rejoin through the same link, I guess, because Bob's on a free one instead of the membership one. So please do come back, and we have one more reader in the room. We'll have him read while you guys are rejoining. Does that sound okay? I hope to see you all back in a few minutes. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, here's a very short one. By Randy Lundy, who's a younger Canadian poet, Cree, written 3 books, and established now. One of his things is interested turning to nature for, it's good for you. And here's a short poem on that subject. Late June, the crabapple's in full bloom, light west wind, and each petal falls this quietly. The gleaming blackbirds stop their eager chattering. They watch each petal drop. Randy Lundy. So now I'll end the meeting and we can start again in a couple of minutes.
Okay, we'll see you all back soon, I hope. And thanks, Bob, and thanks for hosting. We'll have Gord Findlay come up. He's in the audience, and we're being safe because we're 6 feet apart, and we're changing mics. Come on up, Gord. There it goes. It's gone. You're right there. You're that one left, close to you. Your right. Is that your left or my right?
It's your right.
I'll come close to you just
Left, she's right. You're right, she's left. You're right, I'm left, she's gone.
Is that one of your lyrics?
No, that was an old Elvis. That was an old Elvis song.
Oh, right. That's a great song.
You're right, I'm left, she's gone. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Thank you. Welcome.
It's good to be here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I borrowed the city's truck. This is old history. I had a 1957 Chev panel truck. It was green, had plywood for back fenders, a 6-cylinder engine, a manual 3-speed transmission, and a single bench seat. The starter switch was under the gas pedal. Sandra and I used to jump in it to go exploring. She loved it, I loved it. That old panel, rolling along the open roads, rocking down country byways and meandering little dirt paths. Is there someone who tried to come on? No. We got married with that truck. On the day of our wedding, someone, her brother perhaps, laid a northern pike on the exhaust manifold. It was wrapped in foil, and it wasn't until the following day that we discovered it cooking to high heaven. That old panel was our first and only camper, outfitted with only a fold-up bed in the back. It was a semi-Sunday Saturday, just after a good rain, and Sandra and I tooled around and got ourselves way down a dirt road with half the mud of creation.
Can we hear one another?
Yes, I got it.
Can you hear me?
I know, but that's what I just did, and that's what I said. Yeah, try now.
Shall I start from the beginning?
Yeah. Can they hear you yet? Can't hear back.
We get some of their sound, but not all.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, I'll start at the beginning.
Very good.
Sorry to bother you with why I borrowed the city's truck. I had a 1957 Chev panel truck. It was green, had plywood for back fenders, a 6-cylinder engine, a manual 3-speed transmission, and a single bench seat. The starter switch was under the gas pedal. Sandra and I used to jump in it to go exploring. She loved it. I loved it. That old panel, rolling along the open roads, rocking down country byways and meandering little dirt paths. We got married with that truck. On the day of our wedding, someone, her brother perhaps, laid a northern pike on the exhaust manifold. It was wrapped in foil, and it wasn't till the following day that we discovered it cooking to high heaven. That old panel was our first and only camper, outfitted with only a fold-up bed in the back. It was a semi-sunny Saturday, just after a good rain, and Sandra and I tooled around and got ourselves way down a dirt road with half the mud of creation and miles of ruts. Since Sandra didn't drive, I take all the blame for where we ended up. We plugged that panel on until we could plug no more, till we were bogged down in ruts with mud up to the axles and the mud held fast to those axles. A fine spot to be stuck. Yes, indeed it was. I took a picture of Sandra standing next to the truck for posterity. How were we going to get out? How would we get home? Sandra didn't have much faith in me that day. As we pondered our situation, I recalled passing a construction site a quarter mile or so back and thought there might be help there. It seemed safe. No one could swoop down and run off with Sandra, so I left her with the truck and hiked through the mud to the construction site. It was a city construction site set up for the building of a new sewer plant or water plant. Bits and pieces of construction equipment lay around and several pickups trucks were parked around. It was Saturday. No people, no fences, no phone, no pool, no pets. Well, let's see if there are any keys around. I opened a pickup truck door, a 68 or so Dodge, if I remember right, and jumped in. No keys. I checked a few others. No keys. So now what? What about hot wiring? Could I do the old hot wire trick? I didn't know much about hot wiring cars, although I think it was simpler back then, before ignition lockout switches and alarms. I remembered a little from high school automotives and a little of my friends' experiences borrowing cars. I thought, I'll give it a try. I climbed into another pickup and checked around under the dashboard and found some wires leading to the ignition switch. I disconnected them. Okay, well, next step, touch a couple of them together. I did. There were sparks. Then, surprise. The starter kicked in and turned the engine over and, hey, it fired up. Success. I was amazed. I never thought this would work. Quite a thing, that old beginner's luck. And also quite the thing when no one's around to give or deny permission. Now I was a car thief. See how easy it is? Okay, out of the sight, down the road, sitting high in the city's pickup truck, and back to Sandra. She was amazed. Where did you get that? Well, just down the road, there's a bunch of them. Sitting there doing nothing, so I thought I'd borrow one. I maneuvered to the pickup in front of the panel, got out a chain from somewhere, the city's truck, wrapped it around the panel's front axle and the pickup's back axle, gunned the pickup and pulled the panel right out of the muddy ruts. Once the panel was free and out of trouble and on high ground, I disconnected the chain and wheeled the pickup back to its site where I parked it. Disconnected the wires to stop the motor, then hightailed it by foot back to Sandra in the panel. Lucky for us, no one was around to see all that. Lucky for us, we didn't have to walk back to town. We got out of there as quickly as possible, dodged as many puddles and potholes as we could, and finally reached pavement. I still laugh when I think about a city employee climbing into his pickup and discovering the ignition all disconnected with the wires hanging and parked in its rightful place and everything else okay with no harm done. What the? I can hear him say. I suppose it would have been polite to have left a small thank you note, but I'll say it now. Thanks, City. That was the first time I ever got stuck in the mud, but not the last. I wonder if Sandra remembers that day. That was ancient history. How much time do I have left? I've got another short one, about the same length. Okay. This one is a little cleaner. If I can, sorry. History is quite fascinating, isn't it? This is titled An Evening in the Shower. Okay. All right, this is called An Evening in the Shower. This is the true story of the time I spent an evening in the shower. Being young, being drunk, and being in need of a bathroom are conditions common to many men at some time in their lives. At one point, it was common to me at any time in my life, but let's party on. It was a Friday night at Miller's. We often partied at Miller's house because it was a neat house. He was a neat guy, and he knew how to talk to girls. There were quite a few girls there that evening. Some girlfriends, some friends of girlfriends. The party cruised on, and I drank as I was wont to do in those days, not wasting my time with the finer things such as polite conversation, meaningful dialogue, and the like. At that stage, meaningful conversation cut into drinking time, and I didn't like anyone cutting into my drinking time. Besides, drinking was a manly thing in my age group, which was maybe 18 to 30. During this evening of revelry, consuming such quantities of alcoholables, not to mention, and you might want to close your ears, not to mention that I hadn't had a movement all day. With all that weighing on my mind, I excused myself as politely as possible in mixed company by saying, "I'm going to the bathroom. Can I get anyone anything?" and wandered off in search of relief. It was a good thing I had filed a flight plan, so to speak, because someone later wondered why I had missed the meaningful dialogue. Next thing I remembered, Miller was shaking me into as much consciousness as I could recognize under the circumstances, which were that I had assumed the most customary position while utilizing a water closet for the purpose of relaxing as the work was in progress. Unfortunately, I had passed out, no doubt due to the alcohol content of my brain, which was in excess of the minimum daily requirement prescribed by the Department of Health. I was rousted from the traditional pants around the ankles position and encouraged to join the party, which I assured my host I would do post-haste, as soon as I could get my pants up and belt buckled. I'm sure you all understand what I mean. I pulled up my pants and slowly made my way toward the door of the bathroom. On the way, I passed the shower. This shower was built in, not a white fiberglass model so common these days. The shower was part of the bathroom's landscape: tiled walls, tiled floor, and glass door with a translucent coating. It looked to be the ideal sanctuary. I climbed in, sat down with my back against the wall, and passed out. Who knows how long I sat there in cool repose, hidden from the goings-on, absolute in my peace. Then a sharp blast of cold water hit me, and I was awake so immediately that I scrambled to get as far from the shower water as I could, and I was covered in soap film. Miller dragged me out of the shower as I took several swings at him, he told me later, before he calmed me down and hauled me to a bedroom where I passed from stupor to deep oblivion. Next day at the breakfast, there was a mixture of disgust, annoyance, general perturbation, mirth, and way to go, thumbs up, as Miller and family recounted the previous evening's main events. Especially notable was the fact that as I had sat in peaceful ignorance in the shower, every woman at the party traipsed into that bathroom, did her business, washed up, freshened up, and traipsed back out without ever suspecting that I sat not 3 feet away. And we realized that when Miller hauled me out of the bathroom, every woman there immediately tried to remember what she had done in the bathroom. This has been a highlight of my life. A final note, Miller came to my rescue, not once more, but twice more. Once in a pizza restaurant, as I lay passed out with my back against the washroom door, preventing anyone's coming in, and again when I sat passed out on a toilet in the basement of a Montreal bar. Thanks, Miller, wherever you are. Thank you. Thank you. Ancient history.
Enjoyable readings as always, Gord. We forgot to warn everybody in internet webland that it is an adult show. We don't always say that, but I don't know, in the age of stern censorship that we're experiencing, Gord, I don't know that the phrase, "I'm going to the bathroom, can I get you anything," will make it through. But we'll see. We'll see how that lasts in the lexicon. Everybody else, good, you guys are back. Mary, have you got something to share with us today? Oh, can you hear me? I can see you guys.
Are you talking to on the Zoom, Mary?
You're the Mary, yes. Hi.
Oh, okay.
How are you? You're the only Mary we have today.
Yeah, I don't have anything of my own, but I was thinking about this one today. It's part of a poem. It's a very, very long poem, but I could read the little part.
Nice, that would be great.
Okay. It's from Levity, and it's about water.
Sorry, who is it from?
You may. Pardon me?
Who is it from?
Charles Peggy.
Okay, thank you.
He's French, but I'm gonna read English because well, yeah, I'll just do that. Okay. It's kind of spring-like. You may wonder, you may ask yourself, but how is it that this fountain of hope flows eternally, that it gushes eternally, that it springs eternally, that it flows eternally, eternally young, eternally pure, eternally fresh, eternally flowing, eternally living? Where does this child get so much pure water and so much clear water, so much gushing, so much surging? Does she create it as she needs it? No, says God. I am the only one who creates. So where does she get all this water for this gushing fountain? How is it that this eternal fountain gushes eternally, that this eternal spring springs eternally? There must be a secret there somewhere, some sort of mystery, for this spring to remain eternally untroubled by the heavy autumn rains, for it eternally to keep from running dry during the blazing heat of July. My good people, says God, it's not tricky. Her mystery is not tricky, and her secret is not complicated. If she wanted to make pure springs out of pure water, if she wanted to make spring of pure water, she'd never find enough of it in the whole of my creation, because there's not a whole lot of it. But it's precisely with the impure water that she makes her springs of pure water. And that's the reason she never runs out. But it's also why she is hope. Now, how does she go about making pure water from impure water, young water from old water, young days from old days, new water from used water, springs from old water, fresh souls from old souls, fountains of soul from old soul, cold water from lukewarm water? Woe to he who is lukewarm. Young mornings from old evenings, clear souls from troubled souls, clear water from troubled water. Childlike water, childlike souls from used souls. Rising souls from setting souls, flowing souls from stagnant souls. How does she accomplish this? How does she go about it? That, my children, is my secret. Because I am her father. New souls from souls that have outlived their service. New days from days that have outlived their service. Limpid souls with troubled souls. Rising souls with setting souls. Limpid days with troubled days. If it were from limpid days that she made limpid days, if it were with souls with clear water that she made her springs, from clear water that she made clear water, if it were from pure souls that she made pure souls, heavens, that would be nothing. Anyone could do as much, and there wouldn't be any secret to it. But it's from sullied water, old water, stale water, because it's from an impure soul that she makes a pure soul. And that is the most beautiful secret in the whole garden of the world. So it's kind of repetitive, which at some point I always want to be like, come on, it's repeating and repeating and repeating, but start wow. So to that, just stay in.
Sorry, can you give us the author again?
Totally went off, didn't we?
Sorry? Uh-oh. We lost Mary's audio? Oh, there's still. It's having a little bit of internet trouble. Sorry about that. We've been doing Zoom.
You lost your sound, Mary.
Zoom meetings for a while now, and it's always a challenge. We're doing Zoom from a third party into this room and then bouncing it to YouTube. So always a challenge, and we sure appreciate the work that Ted and Trevor put in, and John to keep our group going through COVID. Thanks, Mary. That was very good. I don't know if you can still hear us, but yeah, I enjoyed that. Woe to he who is lukewarm. That's something I'll remember. Don't be lukewarm.
Bill, are you there?
Yeah, can you not
lost
hear
our-
me? You can't hear me now?
The speaker lost her connection, I think.
Oh, can you hear me, Robert? No? Oh, that's okay. Okay, can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you now, Bill.
You can hear me now. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a new person to welcome. It's Rob Foote. And Mary and I first met Rob, about over a year ago, the auditions for The Winter's Tale. And Rob is doing a smash-up job as Camillo. And when we did our, what did we call it, a preview last year, about 2/3 of the play. And he'll be with us again this summer in the Glade at Gem of the Isle. Rob's been doing some Meisner classes with various people and also working with the Mercury Players to do some future projects. So it's good to have you in the Valley, Rob. Did you what's our format? People generally read either things they've written or things that they love, and we don't really have any rules. It's an adult format. We don't love hate speech or anything, and it's generally about 5 to 6 minutes, sort of thing. Did you did you have something you'd like to read for us?
I don't really have anything tonight.
That's okay.
but,
That's all right.
But I kind of joined at the last minute. But I'm very much enjoying listening.
Good. Well, we're glad to have you here. Hopefully, you'll come back and feel comfortable to share something next time.
Certainly,
And
yes.
make sure that Mary. I must have your email. I'm sorry, but if Mary forwards me your email, I'll make sure to put it on the Zoom list if you'd like.
Right.
And good to see you. Are you,
Thank you.
holding together well?
Yes, pretty well. Mary was just reminding me of a poem that I had just sent, but I think it's going to be too difficult to locate it.
Oh,
So
is it?
next, well, maybe.
We've got another reader if you want to look or
Yes,
did you find it?
go ahead.
Okay.
And maybe I'll find it. Yeah.
Okay, and just reminding everybody to mute if you're not the one speaking. John Mowat, what do you want to share with us this evening? How you doing?
Thanks, Bill. It's just a short piece. It's called Nowhere to Go. Can you hear my voice all right?
Yes, nice and clear.
Okay, good, thanks. Yeah, I've just tried a new mic setup, and I think it's working better than others I had. Nowhere to go. I was thinking I'd just explain why I'm not reading anything here this evening. And then I thought that I might as well write it down so I have my thoughts in order. In order. What's that? I don't know. And right now I don't care. It sounds like something rational and organized, and that does not fit. But writing is what I do these days with my sorrow. My sister, my dear sister Lorraine, who has been my loving sister, and my friend almost all the years of my life, died a few days ago. I can't get my mind and body organized enough right now to type her name or anything. Ears are stabbing at all the wrong keys, and I have to go back and go back. There is no going back, only in pain and memory. Going, what's that? There is no somewhere else. It's right here, all of it, and it always will be. Nowhere to go, no point in trying. It's always just you. Grief is love with nowhere to go. Some smart person said that once. And the echo continues. Nowhere to go. I am empty. There is no part of me that is not hurting. Only a faint and distant howling in empty space. No one there. So I am here, hanging out my grief for everyone to see and hear. I don't know what good there is in that. I am not crying for my sister now. Her suffering has ended. I am crying for myself. How lonely and lost I feel without her. I'm not looking for anyone to say anything or do anything. I will live through this suffering and sometime find some ground under my feet. I am empty of all but sorrow. I am with you here now to listen and to see, to hear your voices and your words. And that is all I have to say, except thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm very sorry to hear about your sister, and thank you for sharing that, though. It's a hard time to speak and to write, I know. And I'm glad that you came anyway and shared that with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. Rob, sorry, did you manage to find your piece?
Yeah, I have a poem here.
Okay.
It's called To Drink, and it's by Gabriela Mistral, and it's from a collection that's been with me for a couple decades now by Robert Bly called Poems of Twofold Consciousness. To drink. I remember gestures of infants, and they were gestures of giving me water. In the valley of Rio Blanco, where the Aconcagua has its beginning, I came to drink. I rushed to drink in the fountain of a cascade, which fell long and hard and broke up rigid and white. I held my mouth to the boiling spring, and the blessed water burned me, and my mouth bled 3 days from that sip from the valley of Aconcagua. In the fields of Mitla, a day of harvest flies, of sun, of motion, I bent down to a well and a native came to hold me over the water, and my head, like a fruit, was within his palms. I drank what he drank, for his face was with my face, and in a lightning flash I realized I too was of the race of Mitla. On the island of Puerto Rico, during the slumber of full blue, my body calm, the waves wild, and the palms like 100 mothers, a child broke through skill close to my mouth, a coconut for water, and I drank like a daughter, water from a mother, water from a palm. And I have not partaken greater sweetness with my body nor with my soul. At the house of my childhood, my mother brought me water. From one sip to another sip, I saw her over the jug. The more her head rose up, the more the jug was lowered. I still have my valley. I have my thirst and her vision. This will be eternity, for we still are as we were. I remember gestures of infants, and they were gestures of giving me water.
And from Robert Bly, you said from which?
It's a collection of his called it's called News of the Universe, and the subtitle is Poems of Twofold Consciousness.
Nice. Have you studied his work quite a bit?
No, I haven't. But this, I mean, the theme of this collection caught my eye. It was about reconnecting with the rest of nature in the world, and sort of the evolution of that through poems through the centuries.
Mm-hmm. That's a good theme for right now when we're thinking about re-emerging from our sanctuaries, as it were.
Yeah.
Hopefully at some time. Yeah, we've all spent a lot of time alone this last year, I'm sure. Well, thanks, Rob. I hope you'll come back again. And we haven't had anybody else join, have we, in the meantime? Just trying to stare at the screen here. I don't think so. Thanks to Bob for hosting. We'll do one more with the Cajon. Cajon. Okay. And so April we'll probably have a Zoom meeting, hopefully, if Robert can be inveigled. What's the word I want, Bob? Pleaded? Yeah? Into hosting. And then we'll see if you guys want to do something yourselves in May. Bob's suggestion was to find some little two-person sketches as an addition. Wouldn't have to be completely that, but...
My suggestion was that Bill Levity would find some
I was trying to sneak out of that responsibility.
Knowledge, awareness of
I'm not
plays
sure.
that are available, pieces. The question of context that you and John have both brought up, it's hard to pick a piece out of the middle of a play and make it work.
Maybe. I think you can give a little synopsis. Rob might be even better versed in plays. I don't read a lot of plays unless I'm auditioning for them, and then I get to know them, but I'm not very well read in plays. So that's an idea we've got a little time to develop, and I will certainly try to think of something. And if you,
Bob, are you a member of Mercury Players?
No, I'm not an actor at all. I'm only a reader.
No. Are you a member? No, you can take a membership in the society, enjoy play readings every couple of weeks online.
Oh.
That's fun. Yeah, I think that's been very successful, hasn't it, John?
Yeah, it's going well.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And it's a good way for them to vet plays that they might do in the future. So it's been helpful for them. Okay, we'll work on that one, Robert, and we'll see you all next month. We got this one's called Walt Whitman Sandwiches. Just give it rip away, Leanie. I just changed your name too. There we go. We'll sit right back in the grass, little sister. We're going to read Walt Whitman as the sun shines brightly. He's a lusty fellow. Won't you have a cold drink and while away the hours with me? We're one step short of a two-step, baby. We dance around each other in this literary romance. Lying in the grass, eating finger food, honey. I'm so far away, so close to you. I'm in love, but I'll pretend not to be. Just because we wouldn't want to wreck a good thing now, would we? There's flowers in a pot and ice cream sandwiches. Your beauty is a song. Can I sing it? Hallelujah. I'm so crazy about you I can't sleep at night. I'm crawling up the walls, oh boy. I never had such love for the dishes till I helped you scrub your pots and pans. Now you can't get me out of your dishwater as I cozy on up to you. Well, I'm so shy and often misinterpreted. Tell me now, can I be your lover, man? We're messing with this nuclear family, contemplating Chopin with unquestionable devotion. You're my idea of a latter-day diva, two artists in a modern time. We gotta move up to it so slow, quietly now, we wouldn't want to wake the children. And how to find love in the dirty old laundry, well, you know it ain't easy to do. And damn, we get tired of this fighting and grumbling. Tell me, can we get back to the love of me and you? Yeah. Alrighty then. Walt Whitman Sandwiches. Yes, there you go. You can't often name a poem after a great poet. And food, too. Thanks, everybody. That was very nice respite from the crazy news we got yesterday. And I hope you're all hanging tough and finding a way to support small businesses in this town. You know, takeout or whoever else has been affected, but still be safe. So, you know, splurge, order some takeout food. What the heck? We'll be missing our favorite pubs, won't we? We normally go after this. After we go to, we used to go out to the brew pub from our Tuesday nights here, and that was a great time for the group to get together and chat. One day we will do it again. I swear. All right, thanks everybody, and thanks to Gordon in the room, Leanie Beanie, Ted, Trevor, John upstairs, and we'll see you all next month. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
You.
Bye.
Bye.
Stories we have that we tell ourselves, stories that bend with time. Histories change like books on a shelf, pages that need a rewrite. All these words we leave behind, all these thoughts are chased away by bottles of wine and stories. So stories.